Uh, Hence comes in what I would consider to be a trespasser. When we look at this snake, we know snakes do not speak, they do not talk. So the snake, if we see a man nowadays that is rebellious, that is contentious, that is treacherous, that is untrustworthy, we refer to that man as a snake, a man that's dual speech, and things of the like. So when we start looking at this serpent, this snake, it is nothing but a trespasser, a man that walks contrary to the Most High's law. When we look at what the snake told Eve, did the Most High tell you that you would die if you ate this? No, you won't. You won't die. So we're looking at a man that is a trespasser. He's in a place that he doesn't belong. And we're looking at a man that's going to teach words contrary to the instructions of the Most High. So, you know, from my studies and from what I do understand, yes, there are two creations. And the Most High is in charge of everything. He wounds, he heals, he kills. Any good that befalls you is the Most High. Any evil that befalls you is the Most High. He is always in control. And I've never read anywhere in the book of remembrance out of the mouth of the prophets where the Most High had angels that were rebellious against him. The Most High sent angels to kill children of Israel. He also sends angels to protect the children of Israel. So he's in charge of all angels at all times. This is my understanding of the book. So the angels can protect and the angels can destroy. And this is just what the prophets have related to us. However, this is not an opportunity to bring any contention in the midst of the men of Israel, for the Most High made it plain that the house of Israel, we are his witness. So therefore, whatever it is we may believe, think, feel, we are going to be made to bear witness to these words. And once we do bear witness to these words, then we will be in agreement. And those who decide to be in opposition to what they have read, what they have heard, and what they currently are bearing witness to, then those individuals will be removed from the earth. So, regardless of what we feel pertaining to the subject matter, we will be allowed to see it. And once we see it, then we will know clearly, okay, well, this is the way to go. But until we get to that juncture, we're simply to walk in the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, and precepts, and deal with every man that we encounter and woman in a manner that is righteous.
Brother Lee, I got a two-part question for you. One being the serpent, that's man. One of his punishments was that he would crawl on his belly and eat dust for the rest of his days. What's your iteration of that? And okay, go ahead, brother. You want to answer that before the second one, or you want me to come with the second?
Yeah, before you bring the second one out, let's look at this serpent aspect right now. If you took a snake, if you went to your local pet shop and bought a snake and fed him dust for the next month, he'll die. Okay, so a snake doesn't eat dust. And that's something for us to consider. A snake eats rats and things like that. You cannot take any snake right now, put him in a cage, and feed him dust for the next 4 to 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, and he will die.
Right. Well, could it be said that at that time snakes could speak, and maybe they had a different form to how we see snakes now? Could it be a snake or a snake head who is speaking? Could that not be a scenario?
Well, there are some that has brought forth the point that, well, there was a point when man spoke to animals and that the animals could talk. Well, if that was the case, Adam had an opportunity to name all the animals. And if the animals could talk, more than likely we may have heard where the hawk, when he was called the hawk, decided, hey man, I really don't like that. I want to be called a dove or something of that sort. So, this is not, some people may say that there may have been a time when you spoke to the animals and things like that. I don't see that being the case. I do feel that man is the highest intelligence upon the face of the earth as far as the animal world goes. And that's why we have dominion over the animals. I do feel once we decided to walk contrary to the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, precepts, not all, but some of the animals no longer have a fear of man. And I think there was a point when we had dominion of the earth and we were walking in righteousness. If you walk up to a lion, he would be fearful of you and not attack you with the intent to kill you. Now, there's another example of an animal speaking, and that is with Balaam and the donkey. But once again, we're looking at a specific circumstance. But as far as animals just having conversation with people, this is just not so, not based on what I can see within the text.
What do you say, Dave?
Sorry about it, muted. Yeah, so a couple of things about that. The Book of Enoch actually tells you who the angel was. It was an angel who spoke to, who came and beguiled or seduced Eve. His name was Gadriel or Gad. Now, where I think we get the word serpent from is the word for serpent in Paleo Hebrew is Nagash, okay? But there's another word, right? So that Nagash is got the ch sound in the middle, right? There's another word, Nagash, okay? So very close to that same sound. So Nagash, if you listen to all the meanings of the word, right? And what you've got to bear in mind about Paleo Hebrew is that it's a word picture, okay? So each word has 8 or so different meanings. You don't choose the one you like. You take all the meanings together and it tells you a story, tells you a word picture, okay? So the word Nagash, which is Strong's number 5066, it means to be near, to lie with a woman as an enemy, to have sexual intercourse, to attack, to worship, to present, to adduce an argument. That's the whole story of the serpent and Eve. Yeah, she, adduce an argument. Did he really say that? To have sexual intercourse, to lie with a woman as an enemy, right? Because he was. So it's literally telling the whole story. I think Nagash is the real word that was used there, and it was substituted for serpent. Okay, because as I said, that word Nagash tells the entire story. Serpent doesn't.
Yeah, and my second question being, once Adam and Eve were banished from the garden, they bore Cain and Abel. Cain kills Abel, Cain's banished to the land of Nod. So right now, it's Adam and Eve giving birth to Seth. However, this nuclear family is separated from the rest of the people on Earth. For the Earth to continue, one would assume that Seth or his descendants would have to intermarry each other. What's your take on that, Brother Dave or Brother Lee?
Go on, Lee.
That's a great question. And it did say that Adam and Eve begot sons and daughters. So we know good and well incest is against the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, and precepts. So more than likely, what we're seeing now is Seth is more than likely taking women of quote unquote other nations or the creation prior to. So this is where there's a mingling of seed. And we know this is not to be done. And this may be part of the corruption that we saw within the earth that had caused the Most High to destroy it.
Okay. I'm not sure about that because I don't think, in their pure state, I think incest wasn't the same as it is here now. Perhaps I don't know, but what I see are 2 different bloodlines that are kept separate. Okay, they've been totally separated. Now, as I said, Neanderthals, right, were there first, and the proof that I have, I don't know if anyone's seen this. I don't know if it's actually going to come out. Oh, hang on, it's not going to come out. Okay, Oh, it's backwards. Oh well, sorry about that. It's called the Book of Lamech of Cain. Right, it came out in 2019, released from the Vatican. Okay, now not that I would trust anything from the Vatican. However, there is some damning information in this book. Okay, chapter 1, verse 2, it says, Cain, the forefather of Lamech, who was marked with leprous whiteness. It says it right there. Okay, so what Cain, when Cain said, when he was banished, he said, if anyone sees me, they will kill me, because the line of Adam, everyone from Adam was dark skinned. The Neanderthals were white skinned. We know that from their DNA, they were white skinned. So Cain was marked not because he was essential, because he was evil. He was marked so he wouldn't be killed by the Neanderthals who might see him, right? And that became the default mark of wickedness after that event. But the original event was that the mark was there to protect him from being killed by everyone who might come across him, who were the other people that were created. I'm sorry, I've forgotten your original question. I've gone off on a tangent.
No worries, Dave. It was just with regards to how the descendants of Seth or his brothers and sisters would have had to intermingle with one another to continue humanity. Basically, if they were separated from the Neanderthals, as you said.
Okay, well, I do have to say that I think there was a separation, and there was incest, and just as much as you could say that Abraham and Sarah was incest, pretty much, because they were half brother and sister. So once you get over the first generation, then it's half brother and sister, and then the next generation it's cousins and so on and so on. I think it was different when you start off with like a pure human to the state that we're down to now. And also I found it's also different who you have incest with. It's a direct incest between father and daughter, for instance, that has definite genetic consequences, and I think that you'll find that in a story of Moab. Lot. Okay, sorry, Lot. Yeah,
Lot.
I think okay. Here's something that I'm sure will piss a few people off. The Moabites. Okay, so most people know that the Moabites came from an incestuous union between Lot and his daughter. So I was trying to figure out who the Moabites are today, and so I had a look to see what effects direct incest have on a child. And after a bit of searching, because there's a lot of websites out there that say, oh no, there's no correlation. There's no correlation whatsoever. But if you search deep enough, you find there's a massively increased risk of Down syndrome, okay, in direct incest. So when you compare the symptoms of Down syndrome with a physical description of a Chinese person, they're identical. So I know it's going to piss people off, but
yeah, that will upset them. Yeah.
But again, you look at where Moab was in relation to Israel. So when David attacked them, there was only one direction they could go in, and that was east. Okay. And yeah, so literally the Ammonites were above them, the Edomites were below them. So I think the only escape they had was east. And if you look at the history of China, they say that the first dynasties of China were black. And they came in from the west, through Iran, and along the Yellow River. And that matches exactly where the Moabites would have gone to, escaping from Israel. Oh. So yeah, I know, piss people off, but there you go.
You know, to add to that, there's many Israelites that have stated that the Moabites are people of the Asian lot. I cannot verify that to be so. However, I do listen, and I know good and well Moabites and Ammonites will not be allowed to be upon the face of the earth. They will be both of those seed lines will be eliminated entirely because they are bastard seeds. So certainly they are still here, but they will be ultimately removed. They will not be a Moabite or an Ammonite upon the face of the earth. So whomever they are their days are numbered, or whomever they are.
I remember one more thing. Ruth, in the story of Ruth. People didn't know who Ruth was, but they would say, "Oh, it's that Moabite lady." Yeah, they'd look at her and go, "Oh, there's a Moabite lady." Just like we might look into a crowd and say, "Oh, look at the Chinese woman over there," and we'd all know who she is. Yeah, do you see what I'm saying? It's like there was an obvious difference, just like, you know, in this culture, there's an obvious difference. So yeah, that was the other thing.